Love is the emotion that you feel when you appreciate the virtues of another person and you identify them with those virtues. I'll repeat. Love is the emotion you feel when you appreciate the virtues of another person and you identify them with those virtues. That's love. Sometimes I'll ask the pregnant woman, I say, you gonna love that baby? They're always like, yeah, of course. How do you know? Never met him. Maybe they'll be like the sniveling brats next door. One time I was speaking in Seattle, and she used to, the JHAH Remington there used to live next door to me in Toronto. She goes, hey, those are my sniveling brats you're talking about, all right? You never met them, and yet you can speak with complete confidence that you're going to love them, no matter what. Why? But your spouse, who you chose, right? You met them, you compared them to other people, and you chose them. You notice we never fall out of love with our kids. Can you imagine calling up Jewish Family Services? I'm sorry, but I fell out of love with this one. We're just turning them in now. Okay? Who falls out of love with their kids? Who knows your kids' good qualities better than you do? Nobody. Who knows your kids' not so good qualities better than you do? Nobody. Your parents know you inside and out. They know the good, the bad, and the ugly. And they never fall out of love with you. Amazing. And yet, you see couples, they break up, they get divorced. Why? We fell out of love. So Judaism says you don't fall in love, you fall into a pit. All right? Love is not this blind tumbling into a thing. All right? That's infatuation. What's the difference between infatuation and love? Infatuation, anybody here been in love? If you're married, put your hand quick. Okay? Okay. Anybody here ever been infatuated? Yes? Now, when you were infatuated, did you walk around telling your girlfriends, like, oh, I'm infatuated, I'm falling in infatuation? No. What did you say?
Love.
I'm in love. I'm in love. Why? Because infatuation feels just like love. It looks just like love. It's counterfeit. How did you know it wasn't love? Well, it ended. That was your first sign. All right? You hold up to light. It's not love. This is what people come to. People say, if somebody comes to me and says, oh, I found the guy. He's perfect. Or, she's perfect. In my mind, lights go off. Warning, warning, Master Robinson. All right? He's perfect, she's perfect. No. You're not looking for the perfect person. You're looking for the person perfect for you. And the person perfect for you is not a perfect person. How do you realize your potential? It's not usually with their positive qualities. You really grow much more with your spouse's not so positive qualities. That's where you learn patience, understanding, empathy. You hear? That's how we grow. So the person perfect for you is not a perfect person. All right. So with kids, again, my kids, I see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And yet you ask me about my kids. Tell me about your kids. And I'll say, oh, my Shoshana, she's like this, and my Zevi, and my Moshi, he's so this. Right? I know all their negative qualities. But when I think of them, I always think of their positive qualities. Because that's how I identify them with those. So with our spouse, we have to do the same thing. Why do we never fall out of love with our kids? And why do we know we're going to love them even before we have them? Because love is a choice. We choose to love them. We choose to love them, and we are committed to that love no matter what. I often have women coming to me with marital problems, and they'll tell me all the things they really can't stand about their husband. And they go, unless he changes, that's it. That's it. That's my red line. Can you imagine telling one of your kids, unless you change and get that character trait together, that's my red line. Forget it. No. No matter what. No matter what. You are completely devoted, committed, and focusing in on the good qualities of this kid. And you have to do the same thing with your spouse. Does that mean you should never get divorced? No, there are times to get divorced. There's actually there is a commandment, you give a get, to get a divorce. A rabbi once explained to me what divorce is. That according to the Torah, divorce is an amputation. When your hand hurts, do you amputate it? No. When it really hurts, do you amputate it? No. When it really, really, really hurts, do you cut it off? No. But when it starts turning green and it's spreading up your arm, yes. Because divorce is an amputation. When your marriage is hard, do you get divorced? No. When it's really hard? No. When it's really, really, really hard? No. When it's going to kill you? Yes. Yes. All right. The more you focus on another person's virtues, the more love you're going to feel. That's just the reality. That's the reality. There was a rabbi who I heard speak once. He said, and he was actually, turns out he was talking about himself, but he said there was a man he knew who bought a book with blank pages when he got married. You know one of those books with blank pages in it? And every day of his marriage, he wrote down a different virtue of his wife. Different virtue. She's kind. She's giving. She's loving. She's sensitive. Every day. I always thought, like, if this was my husband and we're having a fight, I'd say, go read your book. All right? If you have to focus, my kids have this thing in school. When they're little, they have these mitzvah notes that you write. You're supposed to write a mitzvah note. You send it in with their lunch. And the teacher reads it out. And it's very good for self-esteem and all the mitzvahs they do. So I remember sometimes after I tuck my little angels in at night, and sometimes it's not so simple, and I'm not necessarily feeling so happy about them because maybe bedtime was a little bit challenging. So I'm making the lunches, and now I have the time for the mitzvah notes. And I realized one night, the mitzvah notes are not for them. The mitzvah notes are for me. Because I had to sit there and think, okay, what did they do good today? What did they do right today? There's always something you can think of. A kindness they did, or a special thing. And I would write it, and the last thing I'm thinking about when I go to sleep, before I go to sleep, is a very good thought about this kid. Right? The more you focus on a person's virtues, the more love you will feel. It works with kids, works with spouses, works with friends, even works with mother-in-laws. Okay? All right.